All right, well, it has been very eye-opening to be back on the Tallboy after 3 long years. It's just been so nice to be on such a fun bike. And that's kind of the takeaway for me on the Tallboy. It's a bike that can kind of do it all, very versatile, but man, is it super fun. What's up, guys? I just got back from my ride on the new Tallboy 5. It's actually been out for a minute. I just haven't had a chance to ride it. In fact, I've not ridden a Tallboy in like over 3 years. I can't hardly believe it. It hasn't changed a ton in terms of geometry. Still 65.5-degree head tube angle, 76.5-degree seat tube angle, size specific chainstay lengths. It's just, it's a size medium. I'm 5'8", fit perfect. It's got this short little stem on there. That was kind of different. I've been riding a lot of cross-country bikes lately, so 50 and 60 mil stems. It was nice to be back on a trail bike. The Tallboy is a quintessential trail bike. It's kind of, you know, it used to be the Tallboy from like 5 years ago kind of blurred the lines between like a cross-country bike and a trail bike. This is a bona fide trail bike, and you feel confident on it when you're descending. And again, I've been riding a lot of short travel trail bikes and cross-country bikes lately. So maybe this just felt like way more substantial because I've been riding all these like little 24, 25 pound bikes. But this bike feels, you know, it feels substantial under you. It's probably a 28 or 29 pound bike, I'll bet. And I threw some faster cross-country tires on here because when I first got the bike and started riding it with the regular tires that it came with, I was like, man, I've been riding just cross-country tires for like the last several months. And so I put cross-country tires on here, and which I really like anyway, so that was easy to do. But the Tallboy, man, I'm going to talk about how it climbs and how it descends and who I think that this bike is for. But the Tallboy, when you ride it, and especially after a couple days of having it at my house now, it just exudes fun. This is a fun bike. It's easy to ride. It has a ton of traction on the downhill. It just gives you so much confidence. It's not going to be like as burly and as much suspension as like the High Tower or the, you know, Pivot Switchblade or the Ibis Ripmo or the Yeti SB140, which is my personal trail bike. My long travel trail bike is a Yeti SB140 lunch ride. It doesn't have as much squish as that and travel, but it gives you a very similar sense of like safety and security and just want to go push it on the downhills, which is really nice. The Tallboy is a trail bike, but it's shorter travel, so it feels a little bit more fun and more nimble than any of those bikes I just described. Man, I've been riding so many kind of short travel 29ers lately, cross-country 29ers really, but still 120 mil like this Tallboy. But this Tallboy is just so good at these higher speeds. It's just crazy how Santa Cruz, how this suspension system, this VVP suspension system, just handles this higher speed. So this is like it's a black trail with lots of like, you know, very rocky, 6-inch to up to 1.5 foot of terrain change, like little drops and rocks and stuff. And it just handles it much better than the other 120 mil bikes I've been riding. Such a versatile, well-rounded bike. Wow. Man, so smooth. Wow. Oh, all those braking bumps. Wow. That was insane. So fun. Oh man. Oh, that was so sick.
That's so fun.
All right, well, I've had this bike for the whole weekend, a couple days now. And man, we just got done riding Jacobs and we're climbing up to this nice flow trail, which is a blue trail. But I just gotta say, like, this is such a well-rounded, versatile bike. It's like, it climbs pretty good. I'd say it climbs, maybe feels like slightly more efficient than like the Ibis Ritmo or the Yeti SB140, but man, it can like it's almost more fun than those bikes on these types of trails, because it's only 120 mil in the rear and 130 fork. It doesn't have that real zippy cross-country climbing feeling. It doesn't feel uber efficient or zippy compared to an actual cross-country bike. Think of, like, you know, probably like what the Blur is. I'm embarrassed to say I've still not ridden the Santa Cruz Blur. I need to get that done, but obviously like a Pivot Mach 4 SL or Specialized Epic, Cannondale Scalpel, those are all, they're close to 120 mil, but they're very zippy feeling. But they can't do what this bike does. This bike, you know, this Tallboy here can cover so much ground. This is a bike that it wouldn't matter where you're gonna go ride. You don't have to wonder if you're on the wrong bike. It's the bike that you can just, it doesn't matter what the terrain is, you can go ride it. Like, I'd feel just fine going riding lift service on this. Might not be the exact perfect bike. I might be better off on a bike like what Kevin's on over there, that SB140 lunch ride, but I feel more comfortable taking this than my Scalpel, my Cannondale Scalpel, which is also 120 mil. So it climbs good enough, and then it does everything else really well and still feels, you know, pretty playful and easygoing. Let's get to this flowy downhill. I mean, all these little tight sections of trail right here, the bike feels very, like, probably more maneuverable than most kind of mid-travel trail bikes, which makes sense. This is on the shorter travel, but it's just kind of an interesting bike because it's probably more capable than any other short travel trail bike I've ridden. I don't know, maybe with the exception of the Evil the Following. But man, these two bikes are the ones. Nice, Kevin. That was sick. Anyway, it's just such an easy bike to ride, so confidence inspiring. I mean, look, this is a blue flow trail, and it just is so fun. Man. On the other end of the spectrum are the bikes that I've been riding a ton of lately. A Cannondale Scalpel, also 120 millimeters travel in the rear, just like this Tallboy. The Epic Evo, 120 millimeter travel, specialized cross-country bike, right? The Pivot Mach 4 SL, 115 mil in the rear. The Ibis XC. I've been riding a lot of these cross-country bikes that are similar rear travel. This has a 130 millimeter Fox 34 fork up front that those bikes don't have. But it gives you that really kind of safety, that easygoing feeling that you can just push into the bike and it's gonna give you something. Those cross-country bikes that I just described, they feel a little noodly under you compared to the Tallboy. They feel a little zippier climbing, But you don't have, like I hit some double jumps that I normally wouldn't do on a cross-country bike. But on here, of course I'm gonna pedal into it and just kind of pull up on the handlebars and just go for it because I feel safe and secure on this bike. So that's a neat thing about the Tallboy. I do not think it blurs the lines between cross-country and trail like some bikes do. This bike's in the same category as like the Pivot Trail 429, the Ibis Ripley, even kind of the Rocky Mountain Element a little bit. I picked up this bike from Go Ride here in Draper, Utah. They have 2 locations. They have a location up in Salt Lake City also, and they have demo bikes in stock at their Draper location. So you can go demo one if you've never ridden one. Descending is where this bike shines, 100%. It just, you feel more connected to the trail than most trail bikes, like the High Tower, the Ripmo, the Yeti SB140. You feel more connected to the trail on this, especially with most people riding blue trails and black trails. This is just so well suited for that type of riding, those type of trails. And I think about like who this bike is for. Definitely not a cross-country bike. So if you're a cross-country guy, you're gonna go sign up for races, or you're riding with your local like kids, like NICA program or something, you're gonna feel like you're being left behind a little bit on this bike if you have to go ride with the high school kids. You're gonna wish you were on a cross-country bike. But I wouldn't want to take those cross-country bikes to go ride some burly, high alpine, you know, type trails. It just would be not fun. So if you're a guy, look, Santa Cruz's website says this is the Downhillers cross-country bike. I do not agree with that. That's their marketing campaign. It's the Downhillers cross-country bike. I don't agree with that. This is how they should have said it. This is the cross-country bikes. If you're a cross-country rider, this is cross-country riders' downhill bike, because it's a trail bike, but it feels, if you're coming off one of those light 22, 23, 24 pound cross-country bikes and you get on this thing, you're gonna be like, you're gonna feel like you can do no wrong. You feel like you can go ride any trail in the world. It just gives you a lot of confidence coming from a cross-country bike. So that's how I like to think about it. This is the cross-country rider's downhill bike. That's what I think. If you've never ridden a Tallboy, it is as versatile as a bike as I've ever ridden. It gives you a ton of confidence, and the geometry is just so inviting. It's just easy to ride. I really, really liked it. If you've never demoed one, call the guys over at Go Ride and go demo one. The Tallboy doesn't disappoint. The things that changed also is they have in-frame storage now in this little swap box thing here, right? So now you can put stuff in the down tube. If you need to put storage in the down tube, the Tallboy has it. And I think they changed the way the suspension works. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot to tell you. It no longer has the DPS shock out back. It has the Fox float shock. And every bike I've ridden so far that has that shock, Pivot Mach 4 SL, Pivot Shadow Cat, the new Specialized Epic Evo, the new Tallboy has this float shock. I like it so much better than the previous DPS. And I didn't really complain that much about the previous DPS shock, but this is a very good shock, and it was nice on this bike today. You just feel like you're always in the right spot in the travel. Like it's not like feeling too mushy. Like I never felt like the bike was bogging out or sagging out too much in the sag spot. It felt like I had good support underneath me. I forgot to mention that. I'm glad I remembered that. You always felt like you're kind of in the right spot in the suspension travel. Easy to pump, tons of confidence. Man, that's the thing, man. It's just this bike's so versatile. Really cool bike. Anyway, if you have any comments or questions, stick it in the section down below and I'll be sure to answer them. The Tallboy's cool. It's a little heavy for a cross-country bike, and it feels zippier than most trail bikes. That's how it's kind of in a weird no man's land category. It's like not the full-blown trail bike, but probably more capable than like the Ibis Ripley or the Pivot Trail 429. It's cool. Very cool bike.